Like, I think that that's what we're seeing is that, we know that the studio system has all of its issues. I'm not going to say it's 100% broken, but we know that it's things are changing heavily, right? And because of that, anytime you have anything in the, I'd say, 5 million and under range, really in the 2 million and under range, it's the Wild West, and where the ideas come from, where the money comes from, who you use, who you work with, all of those things are a completely different world that I liken much more to the fine arts world than I do to what we think of as the cinema world.
Welcome to another CG garage where the monstrous moon shines. We're building new Hollywood like in 1971's prime. From our turds bold dreams to AI's fever dream, where tech meets the silver or LED screen. Pixels and passion are pipelines unknown to host one show on a deadline postponed.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the CG Garage. This is episode number 550, featuring the return of our very good friend, Mr. Justin Denton, where we talk about a movie that he actually directed and turned out, and it's actually available to see on Prime, and we are so excited to talk about it because we actually talked about it on previous podcasts. The movie is The Curse of the Sin Eater, available on Prime, and it's a really interesting horror film. The premise of the film, I'm just going to give it away right away, is essentially if a very rich man dies and he's committed a bunch of sins, he can employ someone, specifically a very poor person, to eat a meal off of his dead body when he dies to absorb all of the sins that he has committed so that that person can go to heaven. So the poor person ends up becoming very rich based on all the money that he inherits from the rich person, but has all the guilt of all the sins that are involved. We talked about it as a premise in general on the previous podcast, and it was so great. It's like, we just got to have Justin on to talk to him about it. So really excited to have that. We actually, I remember him talking to us about this film over 5 years ago when we were on set together, and it was really interesting. It's like, I'm thinking about doing this film, and it was really interesting. We talk about what it takes to make a movie like that, what kind of money you need to involve, and more specifically, this is the one that no one really talks about. How do you get distribution? So last week I was at AI on the Lot, which was very exciting. Honestly, pretty interesting stuff. It has grown quite a bit, this event. There was over 2,400 people there, and some pretty high caliber people were there. And there are several people that I met there we're going to have on the podcast and discuss what's going on there as well. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting. So will be a lot of discussion around that. I will also be at SIGGRAPH in July, at the end of July. So let's plan for that. If you happen to be at SIGGRAPH or you're going to be there, let us know and we'll get in touch with you about that. In terms of the podcast itself, you guys know how to get in touch with us. We are at cggarage.com. If you'd like to watch us on the podcast, you can just go to youtube.com/@cggaragepodcast, youtube.com/@cggaragepodcast. And you guys can witness this ridiculous shirt that I'm wearing today, which I'm sure some of you will have some comments on. It was quite funny. My daughter found it at a thrift store, and I said, that's my shirt now. So if you want to have a longer discussion about the ridiculous shirt that I'm wearing, you can go to our Discord. Just go to cggarage.com/Discord. And that will redirect you to the Monstrous Moonshine Discord, where we discuss all kinds of things, including the podcast. If you have comments or ideas or longer email you'd like to write us, just email us, podcast@cggarage.com. But for now, please enjoy episode number 550 with our very good friend, Mr. Justin Denton.
This episode of CG Garage is sponsored by CenterGrid Virtual Studio. Wondering why you went to film school just to be stuck managing hardware life cycles? CenterGrid delivers end-to-end GPU-accelerated cloud workstations built specifically for VFX and creative production, with flat, predictable pricing and personalized support from people who actually get your workflow. Plus, CenterGrid is TPN Gold Shield certified, so your studio's security is locked down. Check out what Virtual Studio can do for your pipeline at cgvirtualstudio.com. This episode of CG Garage is sponsored by Kitbash 3D, one of our favorite tools and an essential tool for 3D artists everywhere. With the largest library of cinematic quality production-ready 3D assets, Kitbash 3D ensures that your studio has the tools to build stunning environments quickly, efficiently, and at scale. Design detailed worlds in a fraction of the time without compromising on quality. Head to kitbash3d.com and use the code CGGarage at checkout for 10% off any kit. Again, that's kitbash3d.com, code CGGarage.
So Justin, this is it's been, like you said, it's been a little bit of time since we've talked to each other. You've since moved to Chicago. You're doing a bunch of things over there. You've made not a short film, a feature film,
a damn feature,
a damn feature film available. Yeah. I watched it on Prime, it's amazing that you were able to pull that off. Which is one of the things we're going to talk about, like how do you pull off a feature?
How do you do this magic trick?
Tell me how you make a feature. And then also, like, obviously we'll talk about the details on it. But like, first of all, so tell us a little bit about what the feature is, The Curse of the Sin Eater. Fantastic film. Very amazing, cool concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daniel's been using this film as a metaphor for
it really got stuck in my head. This really whole idea of the Sin Eater really got wedged in there from watching this movie. I was really psyched about it because I was awesome. Like, this. I think this it hits. And the movie, what I loved about the movie is not only awesome and scary and weird and everything that you want it to be, but the metaphor in it ends up being so applicable to everything that is happening in our lives right now.
Tell me about it. Yeah. It almost came out like a year early.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I've been bringing it up I brought it up on the last podcast. I was just like,
which I just listened to. So Chris gave me the heads up, so I listened to it. So it was fun hearing that, and actually a lot of the other conversation. It's nice kind of hearing the shift that y'all are taking with some of the conversation pieces and where you're headed, especially as burgeoning filmmakers yourselves. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's probably tons for us to talk about, but it was fun to hear.
For sure.
Talk about it.
So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the feature, and then what motivated you. How did you get involved, and then how do you get a movie done today like that? Like you can't. It's not like, like, oh, I want to make Jumanji. So how does this happen?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think that there's going to be a silly answer in a way, but with any art, there's never one way. And especially today, like, I think that that's what we're seeing is that, we know that the studio system has all of its issues. I'm not going to say it's 100% broken, but we know that it's things are changing heavily, right? Mm-hmm. And because of that, anytime you have anything in the, I'd say, 5 million and under range, really in the 2 million and under range, it's the Wild West, and where the ideas come from, where the money comes from, who you use, who you work with, all of those things are a completely different world that I liken much more to the fine arts world than I do to what we think of as the cinema world. Right. And that's coming from a guy who did VFX on major, $200 million movies, so I've been in all of those worlds and everything in between. Chris and I, we've talked and we've worked together on things. We've got a long history of many lives ago. Yeah. And I think that jumping into indie cinema now, it reminds me more of when I was in college than anything related to what I think of as standard production.
Right. So how do you get it done? So was this a feature that you wrote? You didn't write this.
No,
right?
Yeah. This is an interesting one. So I was already directing. I had directed Burlap, which was my short film. Yeah. I think I came on the podcast and talked about that at one point there. That was for CG Garage. I had two pieces to that. It was both a regular short film that was like a 13-minute horror short, and then I had a VR companion piece that the festivals ended up loving because it put something out in the lobby. People would experience that and then experience the film or vice versa. And that was when I was directing quite a bit of VR work at the time. And because of that,
that's actually one of the places we started working together was VR.
Yeah.
Like back in the
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galaxy VR headsets. What were those things called?
Well, you had Samsung Galaxy. You had a ton of different things, right? Or the Odyssey, or
but we were doing it for yet another Gothic horror piece, which was the Guillermo del Toro piece, right?
Yes,
so,
that was actually how I reached out to y'all.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out how to. I had gotten CG assets from I think Mr. X, who were working on the main feature, and I was working directly with Legendary, and Ethan Stearns and I were working together on that, and they sent me all their assets, and they were working in V-Ray, and I had no experience in V-Ray up to that point, and I saw, oh, hey, we're trying to do spherical rendering, and we reached out to a number of different people, and y'all got back to us real fast, and that was how I met you and Vlado, and it turned into this thing where you were like, well, maybe we can do something. Let me ask Vlado. And all of a sudden, Vlado, who's amazing, jumps into the thread with people he doesn't know with a project that probably doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things to V-Ray at the time. And he said, well, let me just see what I can do. And in 3 days, he had a working version of a spherical renderer for us.
Insane. He's
3
insane.
days.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And I think I asked on a Friday. So I think it was like on Monday, I had like a drop of an experimental build of V-Ray.
Vlado loves little challenges like that. Like he's like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is something I can do. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
and he's super quiet about it. He's like, no, think about that a little bit. And he comes back utterly solved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was funny too, because I think I had only one issue where like there was a little bit of a seam in the back. And then for the stereo renderer, it like made you go cross-eyed when you looked at the poles. And I talked about that, and he said, oh, I just need to fade out the stereo on the poles, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And
well, obviously, Vlado.
Yeah. 2 days later, he sends it back to me, and it's like perfect. And that ended up getting used on all kinds of projects, both with me and other people.
That became like the standard way of doing it.
It did.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So, all right. So besides the technical stuff, so you've been a fan of Gothic horror.
Oh,
that is if I think of Gothic horror, I think of Justin Denton.
I straight up grew up on it with my mom.
Right.
My mom was a huge fan of it. She was a Universal Monster, fan, and so I have 36 by 24 prints of Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein in my living room, high quality prints. Like that is right here. Yeah.
Right. So which is very clear in this story, because it's an interesting thing, because first of all, it's like, it's a weird psychological horror film, and then the introduction of very Gothic horror intrudes into it in a weird way. Like it's much more like, it's totally fitting. It works with the story, but it's like, there you go. There's that monster, that horror thing that was amazing to it.
Yeah.
But okay, so how did you hear about this story? Like, where?
So sorry, I know we're gonna probably take heavy left and right turns here as we go.
Go. Yes.
I expect no less with you guys. Because of that, I had been directing quite a few pieces. I also did this piece called Chained to Victorian Nightmare, which was my version of Christmas Carol, where there is no
VR
Scrooge.
Thing. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's a immersive theater live experience VR thing. So VR is kind of the last part of what that thing is, in my opinion. Right. It's live actors. There's no Scrooge. You're going through the experience as him, or basically as you being visited by the spirits. And I did that piece at a facility called
Aaron Sims.
What's that?
Was it Aaron Sims' group?
No. I did it with Aaron Sims. But there was a really cool little building that we put it on in.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And the owner of that company where we put that in, he ended up contacting me, Carl, and he said, hey, he went through the experience and loved it and was just like a super fan of all of that. And he said, I've got a script that we've been handing out to directors, and we just haven't been happy with what their approach has been with it. And I actually think the first time I read this script, Dan, I think you and I were on set together for the other thing that we were doing, and I told you about it because I had issues with it.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I don't know, should I make this thing? Should I not make this thing? I think I was trying to decide at that time, but it was something stuck with me, you know, about the Sin Eaters and
the concept itself really, you know, it activates something in people's brains. You know, I think it's like, I think when I think about your work in particular, like your great skill as a director is something that a lot of directors don't really have anymore, and it's a real classical skill of film direction, which is to like establish a sense of reality that you're familiar with for the audience, and then just sort of bring them through the veil into the bizarreness, and you never feel the transition, but the midpoint of the movie, you're like, what the fuck is going on? You know, and you're able to do this with you know, massive technical challenges. Like you specialize in sort of when you deal with like VR stuff, right? Like it's just like the tech problems in these in projects like this are outrageous. You know,
and many of them unsolvable. Like
and many of them unsolvable.
So you write around them like creatively.
Right. Exactly, exactly. And I think that mindset is like, I think one of the most it's one of the most lacking things in current film, and it's one of the most necessary things in what film is becoming. Like being able to it's, you know, it's beyond solve things on the cheap. It's like being able to think your way into the mood that you're trying to get people into. And I feel like that horror in particular, and the way that you handle horror, there's only a couple of directors working right now that do that correctly. And they're working with pretty big budgets, so it's a little, you know, it's easier for them. Whereas like your stuff, I'm like, it's amazing that you're working with a budget like this, and I'm having the same buy-in that like Weapons has. That 60 times the budget, you know, and God bless.
I have Weapons written down on my sheet. I did a little bit of homework. I was like, what are we going to talk about? So I've got that one on my sheet for sure.
Well,
so.
Good. Well, let's keep going on the story. So he approached you about doing this thing, and you were struggling with it. So you've had this in your lap for a little bit, right?
Oh man, since before I left LA, like so that would have been, I think, the very first time I read the script, and when we were talking, would that have been late 2019 or like right before
somewhere
COVID? And basically I approached him with what my thoughts were, which was some pretty radical departures from the original script, but with the core of what Adam and Will had written in there. So it was co-writers that did this. It was Adam Davis and Will Corona Pilgrim, two amazing guys. And it was clear to me that there was, I just had to put my DNA into it. And I think Daniel, you kind of mentioned a part of who I am in that kind of classic sensibility. And I think that was an important part for me. You know, I think so many films right now, it's all about catching your attention in the first 5 seconds. And then like once you're at a 9 on the very first scene, where the hell do you go after that?
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
And, and that's just not, I mean, I think some people do that amazingly well, for the record. That's not me. You know, I'm going to build. And, you know, when I first pitched it, I said, I'm going to make a drama film dressed in horror clothing, is what I told them. And that was what I decided to do, is like, I'm going to make the characters as real as I can. So you really care about what's happening to Rick, in the film. The amazing, weird, serendipitous part about it is we were considering moving to Chicago already. And the film
was it already set in Chicago?
The film was already set in Chicago.
That sealed the deal.
That's so weird. Like, and it's everybody I know that like, they always like, oh, so you made it like happen in Chicago. I was like, no, it's a good blue collar city. People are
it
rough.
makes it better.
The disparity.
There's a clash of the rich and the poor.
And it's not the clash between the rich and the poor that we think of when we think of LA. You know, exactly. And it's to kind of butcher what you said, Daniel, in the last podcast. You know, it's like it's always sunny and you're always 18 in LA, you know, and it's like not in Chicago, man. Like, you can
feel it. The wind hits you in December and you're like, I just aged 20 years.
I don't know why, but I for some reason I've been obsessed with Eminem recently. I don't know why. And there's something about his stuff. And I was just watching, some of his music videos and obviously 8 Mile. And I was like, there's a Detroitness to this, right? What you did has that a little bit of grit and difference. And I actually remembered Real Steel also had that sort of
I love that movie. I'm so proud of worked on that thing. That's a really good movie.
But there is something very clashy about it. Like even in a place like Detroit, there is this, especially like old money rich, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you don't have in LA. You don't have old money rich.
Yeah, some of these houses are almost 20 years old. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, and I'm not rich. I live in a 1904 house, Victorian house right now. So it's like, and that's normal here.
Sure.
But it does say, like, it automatically has. I mean, people talk about it all the time. Like, people are looking for that authenticity. Everyone's like, "Oh no, it has." I'm looking for authenticity. I'm just what I think people are saying when they say that is that they want to be unself-conscious. They want to be in the movie, And the more it gives you a familiar starting place, the safer you feel in investing emotionally. And because you've invested emotionally, the more in danger you are. Like that's like you're luring people into this thing. And it feels like, and this is particularly true with Chris the Sin Eater, is like the movie warms up into its weirdness in the same way that like when you fall asleep and you're thinking about normal realistic things, and then at some point you're dreaming about them, and you keep the flavor of reality, even though you're no longer thinking about real things. Yeah. And that's when things become unnerving. And I think that like unnerving is the word that I associate the most with this movie. And it's like it really leverages the fact that it leverages its the flavor it starts with, which is like built on like, hey, we're a small horror movie. We're just doing this small scale thing, but the emotions that it pulls out of me are big budget emotions, and that's an extremely rare thing to do.
It's a simple concept, but it builds on itself so beautifully in a lot of ways, right? I mean, I'll just give away the premise because this is, the if that's okay.
Oh, of course.
Essentially, the premise, just so people know, is like it's the story of someone, a rich man, right, who has plenty of resources, can still go to heaven, having committed all these atrocities in their past, by essentially having a poor man giving them all of their riches when they die, because they don't need them after they are dead, by eating a meal off their body.
Of their body.
Right? So essentially
it has to be touching the skin.
Which is both such a flawless metaphor, but also so gross and tactile.
It had what's the cook, the wife, the thief, and his lover.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So you basically, the sins are absorbed into the food and you ingest them, and then you become the bearer of all the sins, which you've never committed.
Right.
That's
exactly
the trick, right? That's the thing is like, and it's so amazing because then it's like, wait a minute, I now have to live with this guilt and shame and everything else, which is what are those sins appear, having never committed them. Like I'm a good person, but now I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
But just in an instant, I committed all these crimes.
It makes
all
you
these
feel
horrible
nasty.
things.
It's so great.
Yeah, and that
just
was
so
that
that
was
I can
the bit.
have
you nailed it, Daniel.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is I wanted you to just feel icky,
right.
And
but the worst part is
it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give away
good.
the end, the middle, because it's like you realize like there's layers to this.
Yes.
There's a lot of layers to it. So you definitely should watch it. But the concept of what that is like, oh wait, and then the temptation is, of course, money. Right? The temptation is I can drink Macallan, 1964, and I can do all these other things that are out of my league, right? Especially if you're some poor blue blood kid from Chicago that's never has to be a ditch digger all their life, and suddenly you're a billionaire is weird.
Yeah, he's couch surfing, It's like that's the point that he's at in his life to get approached with something like that. At a turning point when he actually thinks life's actually going to get even worse. And then to have that sort of fall into his lap, it's the thing that makes you understand why he's willing to do it.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have that, I think you start to go, well, I'd be like, okay, you're a freak. I'm getting out of here.
I mean, I utterly identify. I've lived exactly in that situation myself multiple times in my life. I think anybody who watches the movie is going to be like, oh my God, I've been in this fucking one-room apartment flavor, and drinking to it, etc.
I'm glad you brought up the apartment, because for me, like, the apartment and the mansion are the other two characters,
Absolutely.
And those were, when you've got a small budget, like, put what you can into your sets, because that will pay dividends. Us finding that English manor, and that's a real place, and what's really cool is that the owners of that, they own a furniture replication service where he actually travels the world looking for really fine, unique pieces. And then he takes them to his factory and they remake them by hand. So it's still very good pieces, but they look like the antique that he found that was a one-off. Right. And when he found this place, it had half burned down, and he rebuilt it as this English manor with an immense eye for detail. And it becomes this other character, and I think that without that, I don't think the film works,
Well, you wouldn't be able to shoot this in LA at all. Like, you'd have to build that entire thing. Like, you just have to build it. And if once you do that, then it's like, oh, well, now we're a $50 million movie. But easily, instead this thing has a voice of its own.
What's it had a little bit of a Saltburn feel to it.
A little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Saltburn has a little bit of that mansion to it.
Yeah. Although weirdly, a really similar color palette to my film as well. So.
Sure.
Very true. Yeah. So really, really cool. Okay, so you got the script. You're in Chicago. How does this get greenlit? Like, how does this happen?
So my producer Carl Choi was the one who originally brought the script to me, and so I gave them my pitch. They're like, okay, let's sign you on. Let's start developing this further. We had some leads on funding, and we had the amazing fortune of having a single benefactor. So as opposed to having to crowdsource the funding, where you're bringing stuff in from lots of different sources, we had one person who really believed in the script and decided to fund it. And what's amazing about that is, having come from like you guys, where we're in the big studio system and you never even know who you're answering to, and there's multiple layers and all of these things. I only had to work with the writers. We always made sure we agreed on what we were doing, or we worked hard enough till we convinced each other of our choices. And then I had Carl, and then I had my EP, and that was it. And so that's one phone call I can make to find out if I can get something approved. I think for anything smaller, that's a must. Like, not saying that like you get one benefactor, but having that quick approval loop. So even if you had money coming in from a lot of different places, which I have for other things, having that one person that really does just get to stamp it, like you only have to.
It's got to turn over. You got to keep this thing rolling.
Yes. Yeah. Because that churn of waiting for those decisions, is where I think a lot of films go to die, on accident too. Like, you're just waiting for approvals, and then before you know it, the next new thing came along.
The gas is out of the balloon, man. That's exactly.
How did so? I don't know. I don't know if you can tell us what the actual budget was, but did you have a budget in mind, and did you work your way into it, or did you say, okay, I can do it for this much, and then you just got to figure out how to do it for that much?
Yeah, I can give you approximates. So the first version of the script that I finished as my director's rewrite, I pitched as a $2 million film. And I ended up with a little bit less than $1 million. So
it looks great, dude. Oh my God.
And that took a lot. You know, it was I think the script was 10 pages longer at the time. I love that you said that the grit came across, because what was originally in there was getting the rest of that grit. But Chicago is also not a terribly cheap place to film. It's cheaper than LA, but it's not a cheap place to film. We do have some good tax breaks and things like that. So there are some incentives, especially on the post side of things, that did help us quite a bit. But locations and things like that are still pretty pricey. You know, it's a heavy union town, you know, so there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind. And you got to play by the rules and those kinds of things, or, you know, you're not. We had 19 days of shooting. You're not going to get 19 days of shooting in Chicago if you're not playing by the rules, you know?
Exactly.
So, you know, so that became like a heavy component of going, okay, well, we can't film here, you know, or we can only afford 1 or 2 days here. Maybe we can steal a shot or two in this kind of thing. But overall, like, you really kind of got to play by the rules.
So you didn't have like the opportunity to do much guerrilla shooting at all. You just basically had to play it really, really straight in this one, right?
Yeah. Which I don't mind, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, I do like guerrilla filmmaking. I think it can be a lot of fun.
Who doesn't, man? You're not a filmmaker if you don't love running around.
Yeah, but also it's like, okay, you're playing with, it's enough money to be real money, and you have to respect that, you know. And so, you know, if you're filming maybe somewhere else, somewhere a little more obscure, then it doesn't even matter, because they don't really have the rules in place. So we still call it guerrilla filmmaking, but it's not really, you know, like it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, what did you guys shoot it on? What you do? Yeah, like that's the whole thing.
Yeah, we shot on an Alexa Amira. So it's an amazing sensor in the camera. It's just heavy compared to your typical Alexas now, but the sensor is still great. It shoots 3.2K native, and then we shot on mostly Lomo lenses, which just have this great vintage look to them.
It's great flavor.
Yeah,
great.
And then
flavor.
you know, not to get too big into the weeds on that stuff, but, you know, very heavy focus on staying handheld throughout the film, which did help us a ton in, you know, setup speed, things like that.
Sure.
But it also made some of the post work harder, because there's more posts than people realize, of just like painting out lights and crew and things like that, you know. So there's a bit of definitely a little bit of an Aronofsky problem in that regard of like, oh yeah, like this camera's gonna swing over here. Oh, we don't have time to move everybody, and because me being from VFX, I could make a quick choice of, we got to reframe or we can handle it.
For sure. But the style itself really adds to the anxiety of the movie. Like it has this level of immediacy that, with like these very classical surroundings, you have this very, very loose, intense camera. Like that dissonance is what powers the weirdness of the film. I think it's a really, really terrific choice.
The goal was for it to be the representation of what he's feeling at any moment in time. He's in every single scene in the film. Rick, who was played by Carter Shimp, who was an amazing actor, and he's blowing up right now. I'm really excited for him.
That's great.
He's got some cool things coming down the pipe, and he also is in 2 different series in a Netflix series coming up, and he's on a show called Best Medicine right now that just got picked up for season 2. And I dearly love him. And he gave this everything he had.
Just goes for it.
Yeah. And so I think that, like, for me to go back to the camera, like, it needed to feel like it was his feelings. And so it's a very subjective
point of
camera.
View. Very point of view.
Yeah. No, it's that's because, like, I think that when I pick on general filmmaking today, I mainly mean studio stuff where they have the money to do things interestingly and they don't. Like, I mean, it's so frustrating that they don't, and we were talking about this with Devil Wears Prada. It's just like they have been looking for institutionalizing what the look of photography is, especially for a lot of streaming product, where they're not like making a choice because, like what you're saying, like, I'm trying to put you in the character's shoes. That's what's going to make this movie work. They're just like A, B, wide shot, and we're done. And I'm just like, that's not a movie. That's not movie making. That's just leaving a camera on. And you have to have, like, if you don't have the intention baked into the product, then why were you filming? Like, I don't understand where they're coming from.
Having listened to the podcast, the last podcast, I think that what was interesting is, you know, hearing you talk about, like, how much, you know, that is the case today. And I was trying to think of my own reasons for why I think that is. And, I'm not disagreeing with you guys. And I know you wouldn't care if I did.
No, please
I'm
go.
not disagreeing with you guys, but I think that there's something about, when you brought up the people who do make amazing looking products and have made amazing looking products, whether we're going all the way back to the Kubricks or today the Kriegers, things like that. There's not enough of that visionary type of filmmaker that's in that pool for how much content is demanded.
I
now.
totally agree with you.
That's right.
Absolutely
And so
a great point.
the safe route for studios to do is what you just said. You
have a fallback. Yeah, it's always going to look a B+. B+ all the time.
The problem is that you don't get enough. People don't celebrate the things that are unique, that are better, that are interesting, right? And the fact that they don't get celebrated means they get lost in the crowd of the medium, right? Because the medium they think they can sell more tickets on, as opposed to something unique.
To be honest, I feel that's like a little bit of what happened with my film, and it's out there, which is great, but it wasn't really pushed very much. I did get picked up and all of that stuff.
It's gotten some great reviews, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
people see it, love it,
especially from the horror fans. So it was like, this is a great premise. This is a type of genre. This has got the Gothic feel that has been, has not been embraced recently, and I think this is really, really cool. So,
did you go into it with? I'm sorry, Andrew. I just want to throw in. Did you go in with a distribution plan in mind? Did you have that mapped out, or does that something you had to discover as you were going along?
So we had funding, but we didn't have a distributor or distribution yet. The original thought was to see how well it does in the festival circuit, the old school, thought process. The festival circuit is not what it used to be either, and not to knock festivals, because there's some amazing festivals out there. So I am not speaking to any individual festival as the problem. It's more just that I think it used to mean something that it doesn't mean anymore as far as what's going to happen. I mean, we get movies now that win Sundance and don't get distribution. I mean, it's a wild, place that we're in as far as how you get good product out there and in front of the right eyeballs, I think is a big challenge. But yeah, we didn't have a plan for that as far as like exact distribution. We were just like, okay, let's do the festival thing, see how that goes. We started to do the festival thing, and then when we got purchased pre AFM market, we had to stop submitting to festivals. So like,
how did you get purchased? Like, how did that happen?
So AFM, there is a whole lot of meetings that happen before AFM. Maybe the two of you know this. There's a whole lot of hotel...
Explain what AFM is to people. Some people might know.
Yes. So it's the American film market. It's where a whole lot of films that don't have distribution yet used to be. Sometimes you could show up with a poster and a great log line and someone attached, and you could sell a film that hasn't even been made yet at AFM. Right. That's pretty much gone as far unless somebody's heard something I haven't heard. I think those days are over. But now you show up with a finished product, and it used to be that there'd be a lot of business that took place, at the actual film market, which is kind of like booths. You go over, you talk to everybody. There's whoever's the head of distribution for this place is coming by, taking a look at these products. Sometimes you get there's kind of a mid-level company that will pick it up and then they sell it for distribution, and they'll have a whole package of movies. And so they're often trying to package some of them together that they think go well, and then getting a distributor to come and grab it. There's also markets from different countries that are coming to see if they can buy the rights for Eastern Europe, if they can buy the rights for Asia, so it's that kind of thing. And that's where most films used to get purchased. I think a lot now happens in the days leading up to AFM. So everybody shows up early now, and there's all these hotel rooms get booked, and people have, basically closed door meetings. It gets
that's where the deals get made.
Yeah. So you get a lot of private trailers that are made before that occurs, and those get sent out just via email. I'm not talking about stuff on YouTube. I'm talking about password protected kind of stuff, The
Vimeo with the password thing.
Yeah, basically. And then those will come with, an EPK with some information about the film and that kind of stuff. And so I think a lot of films are basically getting purchased that way now. And that was, I'm honestly, like, because my film came out 2 years ago, my information's 2 to 3 years old. Right. That might not be accurate right now.
Well, the thing, I just heard a report about how Cannes went and how things have changed at Cannes. Like, Cannes has, like, from this one guy's report, it was like, has basically gone the same route. Like, it used to be like studios would be, they'd shepherd something, they'd develop it, they'd spend money on it, and then they'd premiere it. And now it's just like, no, you show up, you pay for it yourself, show up at Cannes, and maybe we'll buy it, and it'll be a closed room deal. I'm just like, that's AFM. Cannes is now AFM. What the hell is going on? Like, if even the studios are like this, the studios are looking at it in an entirely different way now, and everything seems to be pointing. At least, maybe I'm overstating it, but like pointing at like what sells is fresh, interesting material, and the problem with fresh, interesting material is that it's risky to develop that stuff.
Right.
And so the studios,
and it has to already be made for them to be interested. You're in this
how do we
really
get the filmmakers to pay for this?
22, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and it's, Cannes is more for the drama market. And so then, so what you're talking about exists based on festivals of different genres. So like with horror, you're going to get like Sitges is a big one for that,
Right.
And so, and that's where a lot of stuff, you'll get little blurbs about something getting bought like the day before Sitges starts,
Right.
So, it really has become this, which in that sense, it's kind of good because you at least know where to go with it. Whereas, AFM is just, it's everything,
It's free for all. Yeah.
And because of the amount of things of people trying to get them picked up, it all gets diluted. So I do like that part of it. I think for it to be more genre specific is probably a good thing, but having to have it already made, that's a little tough. You know?
This is it's indicative of what the pressure is. I mean, it's like they want to make sure that the studios are like, okay, we know we have to have something interesting in order to make money, but we don't want to spend the money on developing that because the more money we spend on developing it, the less risky we can be and the less interesting it becomes. Like, I think that's the catch-22 that they are starting to find themselves in. They've had that they've had the Marvel Studios version for so long. Like, these guys will eat anything, just pump it out, it's fine. Turns out that doesn't last longer than 20 years. and now we need to restart everything.
They never planned for maybe people will stop going to these movies.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, it turns out when you eat 8 bags of Doritos, that 8th bag is kind of gross.
This was my favorite flavor, but man,
Cool Ranch wears on you after a little while.
Yeah. I love maple syrup. Maybe I'll drink the whole bottle of maple syrup.
Exactly.
It's funny because what you just mentioned reminds me a little bit of a kind of a combination of stuff that I've been noticing and part of your last podcast. And it was kind of talking about, it's not hard to make a movie. That's true. You are correct there, Daniel. Like, and I love that you said that at a festival. Like,
such an asshole. I felt so bad.
Faces just dropped,
right?
Like,
what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. Can it be a torturous process? Absolutely. But that's on you. Like, that's not like, that doesn't actually make it hard to pull off and to do.
Right.
Now, I didn't have $1 million to throw into my own movie. So getting that kind of money can be difficult. That part of it can, but none of that stops anybody from making anything anymore, you know? And so now I think what we're seeing, because I started trying to, I kind of viewed it as a challenge of like, well, we're not missing out on some great new filmmakers that are breaking through. That's happening. And I was like, wait, I saw this really funny thread between the ones that I just immediately thought of, and I looked, and it's like, so you have Obsession, which just landed, which is also just an old classic tale. Like,
I haven't seen it. Like, everyone's been telling me this is amazing.
Yeah, Brady saw it. He said it was the most. Like, my son saw it, and he's a little sensitive about horror films, but he's starting to get into it. And he's like, that's weird. And he goes, I'm used to jump scares. I'm not used to the ones that stick with you.
That stay forever. I love that.
So you get Curry Barker, who directed that, born in 1999, and came from sketch comedy. So you get, sketch comedy.
Same thing with Weapons, right?
With Weapons.
Zach Krieger. He's not a young guy. He's actually closer to our age.
He's been around for a while,
sketch comedy, and did that for a long time, and just now touched horror.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele from sketch comedy. Exactly.
It's true. Then But what I love about like Curry Barker and then the Talk to Me directors, the Philippou Brothers,
love them.
I mean, they were hardcore YouTube creators.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and they lived in the middle of nowhere outside of Adelaide, and they had no problem making a crap load of pretty compelling, funny and disturbing content for YouTube.
Like they were just grinding it out. Like, here's a weird idea, let's do it. Do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely nothing stopped them. And it was out of pure, I don't even want to say this because it's wrong. Maybe innocence is a better word than ignorance. Like they weren't like us having been in the Hollywood system where we're like, oh well, shit, I don't have 200 people available on set and I have to do all this stuff. And they're like, no, I'm going to grab some people from a local wrestling group and I'm going to just throw them off of my house. You know,
well, I do this all the time as a producer now on the things that we're building. You know, we're building all these little things that we're creating, and there was like, it's like, oh, we need this, and 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 this. And this, and I'm like, do we?
Yeah.
Right?
Like it's understanding what's necessary helps you refine creatively what you're doing. I think that's a really good thing to say.
Yeah. And so I think that you put things in perspective, it just becomes like, do we? You know? And I was like I remember Donna, my good friend Donna. Obviously, she comes from, you know, she was head of Universal. And she started in low budget stuff, and she was the producer on Terminator, which is technically an independent film, and shot a lot of it was in weird ways. So, but you know, she's championing a lot of this stuff that people are doing. She worked with the guys who did the Winnie the Pooh horror film.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That thing is like crazy talent. But they made that thing for nothing.
Yeah, they had an idea, they ran with it, and like they turned it around. Like and the thing is, I mean, I always call Terminator is my favorite indie film ever made. Like them, and it feels like when you watch it, you're just like, this is some slapdash shit they're doing right now. Like, I don't think this is legal at all.
Wasn't. Was not.
Like, no way. And the Adonis, they're like, oh yeah, no, you just drive a car, smash into a car, and then leave a note with like $500. Take it easy. But that's like, this is the we're not saying go out and do exactly that, but like, well, like you're saying with the guys who did Talk to Me and whatnot, like the attitude of just the point is to be making. The point is not to be talking about making. The point is to be making. Yeah. And like they put themselves through their own film school by grinding through all that material. So by the time they hit the screen with Talk to Me looks like someone's 8th feature. Like, I'm just like, that is pro as hell, dude.
And it was a shoestring budget as well.
Yeah.
But if you practice and practice and practice, you know what you can get away with, right? You just like, oh, what is this shot like? What is this shot like? And the YouTubers do that a lot. They constantly shooting something.
They have to jam it out.
Right?
They have to jam it out.
And so they have to figure out all the stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. Exactly.
I've quoted this many, many times, but it was like, you know, when I early 2000s, and I was at a talk at the El Rey with John Waters, and someone was talking to him, and you know, this is when the HD cameras first came out, and they asked him, was like, well, what do you think about the fact that anyone can make a movie nowadays? And he goes, well, I think that's wonderful that anyone can make a movie, but not everyone should. Right? And that's an important distinction. Just because you have the tools, just because you have the budget, just because you have all the capabilities of making a movie doesn't mean that you're suddenly a filmmaker, right? There's something that we all have to do in our heads.
Well, like I was
that
watching,
can't be replicated to make a filmmaker.
I love. I'm really loving Widow's Bay. Widow's Bay is good fun.
I told you about that,
show.
right?
Great.
I gotta check it out. I haven't watched it yet. So
it's great. Like I'm a big fan of the director Hiro Murai, and he's behind this thing, and it has a great weird flavor. It's like, it feels like Atlanta only as a horror movie, and it's
and that stars Matthew Rhys.
Yeah, and he's terrific.
And it's so phenomenal.
He's just terrific.
And Stephen Root is
hilarious. Like, it's great. Nice. And there was a bit we were catching up on this last Wednesdays, and I was watching it, and I just paused. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, because there's a character dies, and there's a funeral for the character, right? And they show the funeral, and they went to the next scene, and I was like, wait, and I paused, and I rewound it, and I played it again, and I said to Anne, I was like, can we just give some props to the fact? And she finished the sentence for me. She's like, they just made me think there was a giant funeral for this guy when actually they only shot 4 actors and had good sound design. And it was just like unbelievable. Nice. I was like, this is the kind of shit that you do not see most streaming do. It's so simple.
Be smart about it.
That's just awesome. Be smart about it. And it was so much more effective. So much more effective.
I just look at like our car crash in V-Ray IRL.
Yeah.
Was really just like there was no one there. We just shot the car and backwards and made it look like a car. People thought we had a huge car crash. All it was in their head. They never saw an actual car crash.
It's all about getting, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Justin. It's like, it's all about getting the audience to tell themselves a story. Oh, like that's the whole deal.
Yeah, it's better not to give them a lot of information.
Exactly. Like, they'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. They want to tell the story. They want to take it over. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you guys got picked up at AFM, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Before AFM started, but
So you guys got that buy.
We got one of the backroom deals.
Got one of those backroom deals. Okay, so that got picked up by the streamer themselves, or did it pick up by like how does that escalate? Just so people know like what to expect if they do that stuff.
So we had our production team, and then we got picked up there, and then that was one of the companies that went and took it for distribution. So then they're the ones that made the deals with everyone for distribution, and that's when Samuel Goldwyn came in and purchased it for all of the distribution. Right. So, which doesn't always work out that way either. It can be where it gets split up a whole bunch, but they ended up handling all of it, which was good because it kind of kept things simple for us. When you're a smaller film, even that kind of stuff of getting broken apart like that just gets really complicated for a small film, because you've got lawyers in different countries and all these other things. And so, international law can get really crazy for that kind of stuff. And so for us to not have to worry about it was honestly really nice.
Yeah, you just let someone else deal with that.
Yeah,
just saying the word lawyer on this podcast somewhere made money somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
You're like,
exactly.
Just to try to sign on a writer, I have to go through two lawyers, a manager, and an agent. And it's like, Jesus Christ, just let me. The writer's right there. He's like ready to start, and I've got to so many middlemen in this world. So did you guys get a theatrical showing as well, or?
Not in the U.S.
Okay.
We did in a few European countries.
Okay.
And that, to me, that's like the big missed opportunity,
Right.
I guess that, I'm sure there's probably a lot of, either aspiring or current, indie filmmakers that might listen to this. One of the biggest challenges for us, which at the time I was very proud of the choice, but in hindsight, when you start thinking about after your film's done and you're doing all of these steps, is not having a name of any kind in your movie. And so, I had real professional actors, like everybody was a pro and came from, I actually had a couple of Chicago theater, like royalty level actors in my film. And God, what a joy to work with theater first actors.
Real pros.
They're perfect. Like they know every line. They never mess up their line. Their marks are phenomenal. Like it's crazy because I've almost exclusively either before that worked with television and film actors or stunt performers, and there's always something different. Somebody's always forgetting things like that, and I'm used to it, and I'm totally fine with that because that's the world that they live in. Man, working with theater actors is like
real pros that know what they're doing. Man, it saves everybody money, and you get to the point
night
faster.
They only have one take.
This is it, man.
But if you have even an opportunity to get a cameo of a name, it doesn't have, I'm not talking about like, your crazy A-listers. I'm talking about just somebody in genre that people know, like that alone will get you more distribution and potential theatrical release. If I had been the name, if let's say this were my second or third film and people were like, okay, Justin decided to work with, local talent. Cool. Right. We'll give it the theatrical release. But with me also not being a name and not a major studio attached to it, there's no avenue really to get that unless you get like crazy festival buzz. Right. And we couldn't do that. So, so it was an interesting, that was an interesting learning for me. And I'm still proud of the choice because I got to work with some amazing talent, but for distribution, there's something to think about there.
Well, yeah, because
but this is this is your first one. So you need to, you can't have your third without starting with a first.
Totally agree with you. Yeah.
And the thing is, man, I think because with the movie that comes up when you talk about trying to get like a notable face in something. There's a movie that came out 2 years ago. It is one of the best time travel movies I've ever seen, and I don't know anybody who's seen it, called My Old Ass.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
Aubrey
so
Plaza.
good, and it's Aubrey Plaza, right? And
And
Aubrey
she
Plaza
plays a very small role in it, but
she is. Yeah, the movie happened because they got Aubrey Plaza. Like it is like that is 100% the reason. Like she produced it. She's like, I'll be in it for 2 seconds, and then you guys can make the movie.
Nice.
And it is. It's the kind of movie that would not have gotten made without a face. Right. And it got out as far as it did because her face was available. And I feel that the next big step, especially that was really true in that relationship, is like get somebody on board who's not just a face, but really loves what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I think is the real trifecta. Like,
that's a much smarter piece of advice than what I gave, I would say.
Oh, no, it's just to add on to it, man, because I feel like that's the
and you can
absolutely
find
agree with the
a way
angle.
because they did it very smart in that movie. My Old Ass, like she is a central part of the movie, but she's on screen. They probably had 2 days with her on screen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and she's mostly a voiceover,
and you don't miss her at all.
And you
the movie
don't
is so
miss
good.
her, and but yet she's so important to the film, right?
Nice.
By the way,
That's
speaking
smart.
of Aubrey Plaza, a movie I watched yesterday, which I never heard of, which was pretty amazing. It's an Ethan Coen film called Honey Don't. Have you seen this movie?
I haven't seen that yet. No, I wanted to catch up on that. I'm upset.
So first of all, he's done another film with what's her name? The girl from The Leftovers. She's so good.
She's great. Yeah, he's made a couple movies since.
She's been a couple movies with him,
yeah.
and I saw one that he did before. It wasn't so good. Honey Don't was like
Honey Don't
really
worked.
good.
Okay, great.
And Aubrey Plaza's in it. So is Chris Evans, and there's a ton because it's an Ethan Coen film, right? Because they can get a bunch of people. But that's the thing, right? It is low budget. Like it is definitely got that low budget vibe, but it's a film noir. You know, she's the girl is a private investigator in Bakersfield, California,
right?
Which is, Bakersfield is.
Some
it's
strange
gritty.
things happen.
And so I just love the fact that movies like this can get made. You know, you can find these interesting things. But I think you're right. Like you find the champions, find the people who will champion it for you, who can carry it, who have a little bit more.
My question is, I wonder if that's going to be more true now. Like because the studio system can't. Like, because they don't have anything to build on at the moment. Yeah. Like I think that even the big stars, or medium stars, like they need to continue to be in things. Like they need to keep themselves out there. There might be, and I have no idea, I'm just sort of hoping, but I'm just like, there might be more of a market to try to get them involved at lower levels than previously.
For sure. Yeah,
I think there is. Then people, I think there's people out there. I mean, I was speaking to Donna. It's like there's some really great actors out there who've done it, especially older ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about people like I don't know, someone like Denzel Washington or something like that, right? He's done it all. At this point, it's like I've got plenty of money now. I can just do what I want to do, right? You can almost sense this from Jamie Lee Curtis and all of her films. She's doing some weird ass shit
taking
recently,
swings,
right?
Swings,
and so there's a lot of people that are doing some interesting things out there, and that I think
even people like Harrison Ford showing up on TV. Like he's done a couple of big shows now. Like that would have been thought of as slumming before, but it turns out he really wants to act. He's really old, but he's like, I want to pump out as much stuff as I possibly can.
Yeah,
it makes me think of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm all set.
It's also making me think of The Substance, right? So like, she
go.
sent that to Demi Moore thinking there was no shot.
Yeah,
and Demi Moore loved that script so much that made that film.
That's the girl in Honey Don't. That's the I forgot.
Andy McDowell's daughter. I can't think of her name. It's so embarrassing, but she's terrific. But that's a perfect example because like that script is something that Demi Moore wants to talk about.
Right.
Like she's like, I know what this script is saying, and I want to say it as loud as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Like that's that. Right. Like people I think are in that zone now. I think it's really.
I think
really
there's
good.
a lot of talented actors who are doing it because they love movies, and not because they want to make money.
Yeah. I don't. Nobody's making movies to make money.
You know who wants to make money? You know who wants to make money?
It's
the
too
agents.
hard.
The agents want to make money.
Exactly.
They're not motivated to make a movie for anything less than money.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the problem that's going on right now. Is that there's a bunch of ivory towers in California that are starting to
to show their age.
Well, this is the thing. Is like I think that like there's way easier ways to make money than to make movies. Like you have to be dumb in exactly the way that we are, where we've crossed our wires to think this is fun, to want to do it, but we do, and it's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
Like that's the joy. That's the joy. So what would you be like? What would you do, or what are you doing now differently to approach doing this moving forward?
I don't know that I would do anything different. I mean, it's always, hindsight, right? Like we can do that all we want. I would say if this were my second film, that is one of the things I would chase for sure. Would be, I mean, at that point, I'd probably be starting to look for the ability to do it for what my gut said it needed to be made for. And sticking to my guns with that. Like if that means that you got to walk away from that project, it means that. If it means that you try to find another way to raise the rest of the money, especially like I've always known what it takes to make some things, especially on the post and the VFX side of things. Making a film is a whole other beast. It just is. And the truth is, until you've gone through the summer camp of production, where you meet all these amazing people that you're probably never going to meet some of them again, but you're going to have the most intense all the time,
everyone's mixed up together really tight.
Yeah, exactly. Which is amazing. Like, I would never trade that for anything. The ability to have had that experience is so unique, as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude. Summer
doing
camp
things
is
that
the
are
perfect
so
way to put it. That's
adult.
exactly right. That's exactly right. We're gonna be friends forever. Goodbye.
Yeah. Catering brought this today.
My God!
Just
Twizzler's my favorite. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Awesome.
So I think that, knowing those things and like how wild production can be, there's a few key roles I would think about making sure that I'm working with earlier, I think is a really big one. Production design, even if you don't have a lot of money, like you can solve a lot of problems in production design that are story problems as well. And having been somebody who was more about the back end of product other than my previs days, I think I underestimated the value there to be involved way earlier in that regard. I did a boatload of pre-production, and you can never do too much pre-production and development. That is true. But you can beat it to death. Like you got to make sure once you've made decisions, you're not second guessing them, I think is a big one. But I think that there's just so much that you can solve with production design. So like going through the script at a really early phase when you can still change the script. And it, the tough thing with that is usually a production designer's brought in after all that shit's done, right? But again, usually can go fuck itself. Like we need to be past that point. So even if you just have someone you trust in that world, hire them as a consultant to go through your script and do that,
I'm all for not having people make creative decisions after creative decisions have been made, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, actually on our, we're still in development on June, July, and we're still working on that. And we're being very public about everything we're doing on there, which is kind of the things about this podcast. But we're literally writing the score to the film while the script is being done.
Yeah, everything influences everything else.
So they all influence each other, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's the thing that I think is like, because I don't want to sit there with, previs edits and temp music that like suddenly derives the rest of the movie, right?
Right.
And
I did
it's
something
not right.
similar.
I
brought on Minko Kalspeak, my composer, while we were still finishing the script, and and he was amazing. Like he's Dutch and doesn't live in the United States. And so we had so many hours apart from all of that. But I found him on Spotify where he just had like trailer music. And I was like, this is different. I haven't heard anything quite like this. And I knew I needed something with like a different flair for this film, and I didn't want to go synth. I didn't want to go, overly digital. I didn't want to go just soundscape. I wanted to be sparse but instrumental. And
it's beautiful.
And his work had that, and like you can't force that. Like composers all have, I mean, there are some composers that can do a lot, but they have a style, you know, and finding him early, and he was so excited about it. And so he was writing me pieces while we were finishing the script, to the point that
that's great.
We like Adam and Will and I would listen while we were finishing what we were doing.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
that's so cool. You're just living in it, right?
Yeah, you just keep yourself in it, man. Because then it's not just like it's not in a bubble, you know.
They were doing this on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Everything is being thrown together at once. Yeah,
they were actually playing the music while the actors were acting, so that they could hear the music, because everything was shot.
The Ugly. Yeah, it's true.
Everything was done ADR in terms of sound, so they just were playing the music in the background, so the actors could sense that drama and the feeling and the build up and the bump, you know, all that stuff. And so I think, you know, having that, you know, it's very cool to me, honestly, because, like, for example, you know, yes, we're going to be seeking some talent to work on our film, for example, and I want to go to the talent that I'm looking for, and I want to say, okay, here's the script, here's the thing, here's your character, here's your theme song. You know, and that, you know, when you give someone their own theme song and they're like, oh, it makes it more real, you know?
I mean, I can tell you, when Chris gave me my theme song, I was like, I think we have a podcast now. This is pretty great. But you know, like, it really is. I love that you're saying that, like, this is what part of what gives that film such sort of emotional clarity and substantial volume to it, like, where you're just like, you're in a world, you know, you're actually in a place, is because these things all grow together and support each other, you know. And I think that is the nature of great indie filmmaking, is like, you don't just be like, you know, like, okay, well, bring in the next people to go build the so-and-so, you know. It's like, we are a tight crew. Like, I'm going to use the summer camp example for the rest of my life, dude. That is exactly right. And you feel like you've completed an epic project just by making these friends together. It's absolutely insane.
I just spoke to somebody I hadn't seen in over 2 years since we filmed, that I only met on set, and they're like family. Like, straight up family. Like, I could straight up, like, hold a reunion in 10 years and it'll feel the same as going to, like, a family reunion, you know?
That's so good.
You spend those times together and you're thinking about things, and then you see the magic happen in front of you, right? And then all of you get excited together. And when you have that euphoric moment together as a group, that just resonates. That's an instant bond that you have for a long time, more than you get sitting in an office doing a spreadsheet next to someone.
That's what's very unique about it. Yeah, it's that was something that, like, you know, and I've directed actors on mocap stages and things like that, and done short films. But, you know, short films, you're done in 3 days. You develop it, it starts, but it's super different when you spend weeks with these people.
When you're in the soup, exactly.
It's just a different thing, because, you know, the brain wave patterns start to align.
They start
and
going
things occur.
Exactly. It's the best. It's the best.
So I wanted to say one quick thing before we change topics, because y'all were talking about theme songs, and one of the things that Minko did that I loved is I told him that I wanted Anton to have, like, a cello based theme, and he said, okay. And he came back with something. I was like, this is really crazy and weird and, like, super cool. Like, how did you do it? He said, well, I don't know how to play cello at all, so I just used a bowstring on my guitar. And it created the coolest sound, you know, that was just so unique. And Elizabeth, who played Anton, she loved it. Like, she's just like, this is so cool. And it, like, super became a part of her persona.
It has such a unique
voice. Isn't that interesting how you find those things? Like, we were doing that with our composer as well. And he was, you know, we're doing this Western thing, and he's coming up for a theme song for one of the characters, and he's like, oh, I just bought, because he's an incredible composer, and he designs his own synthesizer and designs his own things and sells them actually to some pretty high-end stuff. He's kind of like an artisan synth maker, but he got himself an actual piano, like with the hammers and everything, right? And he's like, his first time I've owned his own piano, like itself, that he had enough space to put it into somewhere. And so he was trying to figure out how to mic it, the actual piano. And he put the mic too close to the hammers, and he played the theme song on that. And it was like,
you could hear the mechanics of the piano.
Cool.
And you could hear the hammers. Awesome. And he's like, it's too loud. It's like, but at the same time, it feels like
as soon as we heard it, it felt like horse hooves. Yeah, exactly.
Like and it was like,
it was so good. Like, and that became a defining way we talk about the music. Like, hearing the mechanics of how the music is produced is also thematically connected to what we're saying with the movie. And so we're just like, now we want to line that up. And that's purely not a mistake, just an accident.
Right.
You know, and then you're open to it. And then it becomes the thing. You don't like say the way it is and then hire some random guy.
You're finding it. You know, that's the thing is I think we call so many things accidents, and you did change your wording there, but like we're finding these things and they reveal themselves to us. You know, it's like we're not creating all of these things, we're discovering these things.
That's the way creativity
to what is
needs to
be.
be.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think also when you limit your budget, you spend most of your time figuring out how I'm going to get this done and doing this, right? If you have unlimited budget, you're not discovering anything. You're basically just throwing money at the problem.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
and that's a different
creative discipline going on with that stuff. Well, like this year, I rewatched all of The Outer Limits from long ago, and like
cool.
I love this show. I love this show, and some of these things were made probably with $12. Like some of these episodes, it was just insane. Like they must have been shooting like multiple episodes at the same time around the corner from each other, and they had like tinfoil and like like that's it. They scratched the film for ray guns, and it doesn't matter. There's an episode where, and it's one of my favorite episodes, where literally the monster is sentient tumbleweeds. And there's a scene where tumbleweeds are being thrown at an actress's face, and it's scary. And I was just like, you have romanced me completely when clearly there's just a bunch of PAs throwing tumbleweeds at someone's face. And I'm like, this is crazy. Possessed tumbleweeds.
That's awesome.
And that's where we should always be. And I think you can only get there when you're focused in the way that indie production makes you focus. And it's really hard to hang on to that the bigger the thing gets. And in the studio system is in the state that it's in, and we're struggling the way that we're struggling. We should let the lens of this stress focus us creatively, just like those tumbleweeds being thrown. Like that should be the gag we always operate on.
Yeah. Now I'm just seeing the movie Rubber. The
Rubber,
tire. Like it sounds
tire.
Like it was directly influenced by that episode.
Same. Like you are in it. You're like, whoa. The tire's like,
I just saw Sarah Silverman do a whole thing about how movies are made as part of her comedy skit. It was really funny. She goes, he says, you have these scenes, and he goes, there's someone, and they walk off camera. But then you don't realize the minute they leave the frame, there's all this equipment on the side, so they have to duck out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
And do it's like, if you knew what's happening behind, just on the edge of the frame,
off of the frame,
literally right there, literally right there.
Yeah. That's magic. Like if I just lean down here, I can show you guys an old XL1.
There it is, baby. Look at that thing.
Look at that.
So glorious.
I just got this back from Burbank, actually, to get it repaired. So
that's a fine animal you got right there. That's good stuff.
That was the top of the line indie filmmaker tool from 2001 or 2002.
Yeah,
so good,
2001. Yeah,
it's a good business. Mm-hmm. So do you? So is there anything you can talk about that you got cooking now, or what are you aiming for?
Not at the moment. I can't. I can't say anything.
Okay,
no worries.
Don't say anything. But I do want to talk about the now and the future in terms of your perception of the business and where it's going. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are going on right now where people are saying the movie industry is dead, or there's no money in it, and everyone's suffering, et cetera, et cetera. Clearly, the demand for film is not dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is your perception of why everyone is saying that movies are dead?
Oh man.
Even box office is up 26%. How can it be dead?
Movie making is dead. Box office is super high.
So I go to the movies once to twice a week. Still. I did that the second that COVID laws released enough that I could go back. I've been doing it. I live walking distance from a cool old theater called the Pickwick.
God bless you.
That's like this really badass Art Nouveau building. It's super cool. But I think the movie industry is not dead. It's not dying. There's too much still getting made. I'm seeing more people going to the theater now than I was. Yep. And that's been really encouraging. Sometimes there will be a movie that I go to that I'm really sad that there's no one else in the theater. The Bride is a good example of that one for me. Yep. In fact, I just came in the mail. I just got the 4K
nice
Steelbook on that one. Speaking of films that took big chances. That's a perfect example. I think it's straight art. Yeah, it's messy, but it's awesome.
Bonnie and Clyde with Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And I love Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think she's a genuine artist of a filmmaker.
Did you see Secretary?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
But yeah, I think that the industry is reinventing itself for sure. You know, I mean, that's a given. I think we conflate a lot of the streaming wars and those kinds of things with theatrical. I know they're all intertwined, but they're not the same thing. And it's hard to like unwind all of that to figure out what it means. But the demand is clearly still there. And as far as like what it means for big tentpole films and things like that, I think we're starting to see less of the $200 million movies, which I'm actually all for. I think we did hit like kind of, it's not just the Marvel problem, but I think we've hit our saturation point there of like the spectacle has gotten as big as it can.
That's it.
You know, we watched spectacle get bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we've actually watched visual effects get not quite as good as it was. You know, like because of how much they're having to pump out. This is not a lack of quality of artists. It's how much they're having to do in the amount of time because of how many pieces have to get made. It's the same thing we were talking about with shot choices, you know? So I think that as things kind of naturally constrain back in, maybe we get some really ambitious $20 and $40 million movies and things like that. I don't know where this leaves us for like the real experimental but budgeted films. You know, I think that's where I don't know what can happen there right now. Like I think that maybe that's where there's an opportunity there, but I don't know how the funding will hit for things. Yeah, like that.
I agree because they're like it's people talk a lot about how like mid-budget films got killed by, you know, the interaction of superheroes and streaming and everything got squeezed in the center. But even then, like it kind of survived for at least, you know, name directors on Netflix could still get, you know, Fincher got Mank made, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like for real, like weird art filmy, experimental, interesting stuff, like if David Cronenberg wasn't a name, where would I see that movie? Where would I see a David Cronenberg movie? Like where would that, would I find that on Shudder? Maybe? Would I find that on like, how would I even go about getting that right now? And I just don't think that has settled itself out. Like the most creative end of it has not settled itself out yet. And I think that may mean there's a giant opportunity for people to figure it out. But I'm really interested to see how that gets solved because like right now it's like I can't imagine seeing something like David Cronenberg's Crash come out on any platform that I know about. You know, that's just not, or a Bad Boy Bubby or something like this where you just like, come on,
we still talk about that movie, man. We still talk about Bad Boy Bubby.
Yeah,
but
it needs a 4K release. I'm just throwing that out
release.
There. It needs a
life changer. That movie is a life changer.
If you can get through, the first 20 minutes, you are going to be rewarded by a very.
I swear to God, anyone who watches that movie,
but let me tell you
survive
this,
it's the best.
I'm just going to put it out there, like even Cohen has can get away with a lot, but like Honey Don't, man, there's a lot of hardcore sex in this film. Very explicit sex.
Excellent. Good.
Lots of, you know, and lots of lesbian sex too. And so it's like, okay. And so I think people can do this. Like this, these are all the things that people say you can't do. They can. I think they just find a different way of doing it and they approach it differently. Right. And that's the thing. The other thing that I think is very important, and I'm wondering if you agree with this, is I think that the studios have completely misinterpreted their audience, right? They have blamed the Gen Z and Alpha for the fact no one goes to the movies anymore because they're all watching TikTok. And they said, this is what we got to do. That's such a bullshit argument. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, like, you know, re-releases of things like Interstellar are hitting huge with Gen Z. Like,
my son is 17 and loves movies. So do all of his friends. They prefer watching movies over television right now. It might be because he's my son, but
you're doing God's work. But
Sure. My son's 16. And he, you know, has got an AMC Prime Pass so that he can go with all of his Stubbs Pass and go out with his friends, and they go to the movies all the time.
Yeah.
And this is such a ridiculous argument. It's like, oh, no, they just want to watch TikTok. And they want the reason they're not watching the movies is because the movies suck.
Stop making
Go
bad,
see Obsession
movies.
Because the director's 26 years old.
Yes.
And it was funny. I was trying to put my finger on it while I was watching it, and there is a Gen Alpha sensibility to the film that I was like, why does this feel different? I was like, taking me a while, and I was like, oh, this movie's not for me.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Which was really cool.
Yeah,
To think about, I was like, oh, here we go. Like, yeah, here we go. Like, that's,
I'm not here to see the same old shit, dude. I'm here to see
the
fresh new
framing, like even the framing and stuff like that was different. It was like, oh, like all the important stuff still fit in a vertical frame on some of the wide bits, and not in a bad way.
Yes.
Like, it was like there's some shots where there's a whole group of them talking, and they're stacked in this little circle,
which
but
is
we
interesting.
see the whole frame, right?
It's interesting.
But it's how people stand together now too, because of the phones and things like that. And so I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. This is being informed by that next generation, but it's a film. So
no, I've had arguments with people saying like you can't shoot good looking stuff vertically, and I'm like, Ansel Adams managed to do that. Like,
go to any art museum and tell me the portraits all suck. Like,
it's too tall. That's the problem here.
You know what? This needs some black bars. I think that's what
it needs. It would have been so much better. Yeah, come on.
I do still remember a video from like 15 years ago about VVS, which is vertical video syndrome, and was like criticizing vertical video, saying, well, what are we going to do? Movie theaters that are tall now?
Right. But this is the thing.
Maybe it'll correct the neck problems of our younger generation.
Finally, I can stand tall again. But that's the thing, because like this, like when you start experimenting with that, if you start shooting for a vertical frame, you have to think about, this doesn't edit the same way that widescreen does, because if you move the camera like this, it's hard to catch up with what you're seeing. If you cut too soon, it's hard to figure out what's going on. And so like the stuff that works on TikTok is actually longer shots that are like this, which
is very POV.
It's
very POV.
And so like you have to, it activates the problem solving creative part of your brain to engage this stuff. And people that resist that are doing themselves a disservice as an artist. Like,
it's fine if you don't want to create that stuff, so you don't need to tap into it for your own creative work. But there's no value in naysaying it. Like, that's 100%. That's the thing.
100% true.
So it's to go back to your comment, Chris, like, I don't know if the studios are misconstruing, I think that there's also an interesting shift going on with studios starting to back specific directors more than like, oh, Tom Cruise is going to be in this movie. It's more like, I'm going to say this is my stable of directors that I trust what they're going to do, and actually give them a longer leash than I used to.
Right.
And I haven't seen that from studios in a while,
since the Coppola days, right?
So to me, that's kind of an exciting thing, probably because I'm not an actor, but like, to me, that's kind of exciting. I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna do in the long run, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Like the idea of like the way that A24 has sculpted its flavor. Even as it's gotten quite huge, A24 is now a mini major, basically.
Yeah.
But like they are really, really crafting like what it is you buy when you see an A24 film. Like, these are the kind of directors we are looking at. This is the kind of movie we make, and so
you can guess it's an A24 movie by the style of the trailer.
100%. And like that kind of like where I've been in theaters where A24 comes up, just the logo, and I hear people go, oh. I'm just like, it's not that's not Brad Pitt,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Look at that handsome A24.
I've never seen anybody react to a logo quite that way.
Exactly. But building that kind of identity and helping people discern what they want to experience, because right now, like the way that studios have done it for many years now is just the shotgun effect of like, we have lots of stars, lots of like superheroes this way, superheroes this way, whatever it is. Now you have to go like, we're making a very particular, like, we're making Jordan Peele kind of films, and you go, yes, I want to go this way. Like, it's giving you it's helping you find the path through what you want to be seeing. And I think that it really behooves filmmakers to try to identify that in themselves. And the one way, and I look at indie video games a lot because I'm also in indie video games. And like part of what you do is you talk to the people that you make things for and listen to what they enjoy and be a part of that. Because like, if you're a super fan, they are also super fans, and sharing that with them is going to, that communication helps you out.
I also think that the studios have done a disservice with things like Star Wars, where all they're doing is fan service, right? As opposed to
that's a whole
movies.
different issue. That's a whole different problem. But but certainly the idea of like Star Wars didn't really the problem with Star Wars to me was like it wasn't that they were listening to fans, it's that they were trying to sort of manipulate them into product groups. And like, it's just like, okay, we'll push them over this way, and we can categorize it this way, and we'll sell to these guys. These are the guys that liked the second new Star Wars movies, and here's the guys that like the old Star Wars movies, and we can compartmentalize it this way. And
there was literally a group of people who's like, I don't care about the story, I just want to see Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon. You know what I mean?
The reason why you care about Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon is because there were 2 good movies made with Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon where you cared about them, and you've been wanting to care about them ever since. And it hasn't happened since then.
I think, it's the same way I feel about music sometimes. Like, people listen to the same songs over and over and over and over again. And to me, the best song, my favorite time for hearing my favorite song is the first time I hear the favorite song, right? So like, the first time you hear something that's when it's exciting. Then you're just trying to relive that. Will never be the same.
Well,
so
I'm
always looking for new things. Yeah, I'm always looking for new things.
That freshness opens up something new in you every time you come across it. And I feel like there's like, with it, especially if you're an indie filmmaker, that's your job. It's just your job. Like we were saying earlier about just production design. It's like keeping your ears and eyes open all the time. That's how you're going to make a good picture.
So do you feel hope? Do you feel hope for independent films, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. One of the best things about independent film is it can adapt quickly.
Yes.
Like, that's one of the beauties of things when the stakes are a little lower as far as the business side of it is concerned, but the stakes are ultra high for the creators.
Yes.
And that's kind of a great marriage, in the sense of wild things happen because of that. People take swings, and some of them are beautiful disasters, and others are incomplete masterpieces, and other ones are, why did I make a film in the first place? And other ones are instant hits, and it's like it's got a little, not to make the music analogy too much, a little more in common with just an artist making a song for themselves, like it's just it's got that kind of quality to it of it. There's a raw honesty a lot of the times with it, especially because of how democratized the tools are.
Sure.
You get people trying things that don't work but end up informing either their future style or someone else. And that's because there is that group of like-minded people that are looking for something like that. And it's why, like, when we say genre now, we kind of mean it as like a very ultra generic term, as opposed to what it used to mean, which was it fits this exact scenario. And now, like, genre is this massive catch-all, but there's like, I feel like, especially in independent film, it's almost become like metal music. It's got 37 million subgenres, and but you can find other people who like it too because of how quick information passes. And because of that, we're, the young people are so much smarter than us with this stuff. They're far more informed in that regard.
It's plugged right in.
And then also, like, they don't have that crippling fear that people like us do of, like, oh God, I'm going to try to make a film. Like, I don't have the backing of Studio X and like, this
unreal.
major actor and this DP and all these things. It's like, no, just grab your phone. And if you save up a few bucks, get yourself a full frame mirrorless camera, and it's going to almost look as good as a high level quality thing, as long as you start to learn what you're doing.
Yes.
But you get to. That's the cool thing.
Yeah. Well, dude, I completely agree with you. It's like, if you do this because do this for yourself, you make the thing because you want to watch this movie, you'll quickly find that a lot of other people agree with you. Yeah. Like, that's how that stuff works. Absolutely. Well, sir, thank you so much for coming on board. This is absolutely spectacular. It is
so much fun catching up with you guys, and
Absolutely. And we'll have you on more when we need to talk about this kind of stuff and the state of the industry, especially for people like us who are trying to do these types of things. We need people, you need advice from people like you, like, oh, here's how you do it. Because you came from a very technical, you've done the same thing. You've followed a lot of the similar journeys as us. You've done a lot of big technical things and you're a creative filmmaker at the background and you've got your horror film background and got your Texas roots, which I also love. But it's been great having you on, man. So thanks so much, and good luck with all the things that you can't tell us about.
No, Jid, absolutely, and thank you for an awesome movie. That's like the number one thing on my list.
Man, I really appreciate it.
People should definitely go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Like Daniel said, it's a metaphor for a lot of, like, he's been using this metaphor. It's like, I've been thinking about Curse of the Sin Eater, and I'm like, it really got stuck in there. Who's carrying the burden for all of us on all the crap that's happening
in our life right now? What's happening? Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.
To host one show on a deadline postponed.